Welcome the anointed ones. The worst mistake you can make is thinking they're not watching. Psychologists say that humans are wired to compare themselves to others, sometimes even obsessively. So if you think the people from your past aren't paying attention to your glow-up, think again. They might not double-tap your photos or comment on your success, but trust this, they've seen it. And whether they admit it or not, some of them are tossing and turning at night, replaying your victories like a highlight reel they never asked for. Why? Because your transformation didn't just change you, it disrupted the story they told themselves about you. Suddenly, the version of you they underestimated is thriving, and their silence isn't indifference. It's the sound of pride swallowing hard. But hey, don't feel bad. After all, who knew your glow-up came with free insomnia trials for your audience? Number one, your growth is a mirror they can't face. Your glow-up isn't just about how you look or what you've achieved. It's a mirror some people can't stand to face. It reflects everything they could have been but weren't willing to become. It's not jealousy in the obvious sense. It's more complicated than that. It's the silent grief of knowing they had the same hours, the same days, maybe even the same opportunities, but they didn't use them the way you did. They see your progress, and it forces them to confront their own choices. The late starts, the excuses, the moments they played it safe when they could have taken a leap. It's unsettling because your growth proves what's possible. You didn't just break through, you broke the narrative they believed about you. The version of you they once knew, the one they underestimated or overlooked, no longer exists. And that realization, it stings. Because if you could evolve, succeed and thrive, then what's stopping them? It's a question they'd rather not answer. So instead of celebrating your glow-up, they pretend it doesn't matter. They scroll past your wins like they're not impressed. Tell themselves your success is just luck, or convince themselves you've changed too much. But deep down, it's not your change that bothers them. It's their lack of it. They lose sleep because your growth is a reminder of the potential they ignored within themselves. Every milestone you hit highlights the time they wasted, the dreams they postponed, and the chances they didn't take. And the hardest part? They know they could have made different choices. They know it's not fate that separated your paths, it's action. You took the steps they were too hesitant to take. And now, every glimpse of your success forces them to face a version of themselves they might have been if they'd only tried. It's not that they don't care, it's that caring hurts. Number two, their silence is a strategy, not indifference. When they act like your glow-up doesn't matter, it's not indifference, it's strategy. People who once had the upper hand or felt ahead of you don't want to admit the tables have turned. Ignoring your success is their way of holding on to a sense of control. If they acknowledge your growth, they have to face the fact that you've elevated beyond the version they were comfortable with. So they stay silent, hoping their lack of reaction will downplay your achievements. It's not that they don't care, they care too much, and that's the problem. Their silence is a defense mechanism. Admitting that you've leveled up means accepting that they're no longer the main character in your story, or worse, that they misjudged you. So they watch quietly, pretending your glow-up doesn't affect them, while their pride takes hit after hit. Late at night, when there's no audience, they replay your milestones in their minds, wondering how you got there while they stayed the same. But during the day, they mask it with indifference, as if ignoring your success will make it less real. This silence isn't just about avoiding your growth, it's about preserving their ego. Celebrating your success would feel like admitting defeat, like confirming they underestimated you. So they choose to stay quiet, hoping their lack of acknowledgement will make you question whether your achievements are as impressive as they truly are. But deep down, their silence isn't fooling anyone, least of all themselves. And here's the irony. The more they pretend not to care, the more they reveal that they do. Their silence speaks louder than any words could, because if your success truly didn't matter, they wouldn't need to act like it doesn't. Their pride might keep them from clapping, but their restless nights tell the real story. They're not ignoring you because they're unaffected. They're ignoring you because they can't stand the reminder that they stayed the same while you became everything they thought you wouldn't. Number three, your presence is a constant reminder of their absence. Your presence is a constant reminder of the space they no longer occupy. It's not just the glow-up itself that keeps them up at night. It's the realization that life moved forward without them. The version of you they knew is gone, replaced by someone stronger, wiser, and more confident. And no matter how much they try to convince themselves they've moved on, the proof of what they lost stares back at them every time your name crosses their mind. They think about the conversations they used to have with you, the inside jokes, the moments they took for granted. Now they see you thriving in circles they're no longer part of, achieving things they once doubted you could. It's not just envy, it's the sting of knowing they don't get to experience this new version of you up close. They're stuck with memories of who you used to be, but you've outgrown the version they had access to. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Every milestone you hit feels like a chapter they're no longer written into. It's not that they don't want to be happy for you, it's that your success highlights the distance between where you are and where they left off. And the worst part? They can't escape it. Whether it's seeing your posts online or hearing your name in conversations, reminders of your growth appear when they least expect it. It's a constant, silent presence that lingers in the back of their mind, poking at their pride and making them wonder what life would be like if they were still part of your world. They pretend it doesn't affect them, brushing it off as if they've moved on. But late at night, when there's no one to convince, those thoughts get louder. The what-ifs start creeping in. What if they had supported you more, treated you better, or stayed around long enough to see the person you've become? But now, all they can do is watch from a distance, knowing they're just a spectator in a life they once thought they'd always be part of. Number 4, they're not mad at your success, they're mad at their inability to keep up. Your glow-up exposed the gap between where they are and where they thought they'd be. The sleepless nights, it's their internal scoreboard showing they're falling behind. Your success isn't what frustrates them, it's the contrast between your growth and their own stagnation. Every milestone you hit shines a light on the distance between where they are and where they expected to be. It's not about you winning, it's about them feeling like they're losing. People measure their progress against those around them, whether they admit it or not. When someone they once viewed as an equal or even beneath them starts to thrive, it forces them to confront the fact that they've fallen behind. This gap between expectation and reality is what keeps them up at night. They had a mental timeline for their own success, a vision of where they'd be by now. But watching you surpass them disrupts that narrative. It's not just that you're succeeding, it's that your success makes their lack of progress impossible to ignore. Every promotion you get, every new achievement you post, feels like a reminder of the goals they haven't reached. And the hardest part, it's not because they lacked the opportunity, they just didn't take the action. Instead of channeling this discomfort into motivation, many people respond with resentment. It's easier to feel bitter than to admit they've been standing still while you've been moving forward. So they tell themselves your success doesn't count or that you had it easier. But no amount of rationalizing can silence that inner scoreboard, the one that constantly compares their life to yours. The sleepless nights happen when the world goes quiet and they're left alone with their thoughts. Without the distractions of daily life, the gap between where they are and where they wanted to be feels impossible to ignore. And with every reminder of your success, the question echoes louder. If they could do it, why haven't I? But instead of seeking answers, they choose to scroll, compare, and pretend they don't care, while the scoreboard in their mind keeps tallying the difference. Number 5, they downplay your success because accepting it means accepting their own stagnation. Minimizing your achievements isn't about you. It's their defense mechanism against confronting their unfulfilled goals. When people downplay your success, it has little to do with what you've achieved and everything to do with what they haven't. Your accomplishments force them to acknowledge the goals they've neglected, the dreams they've postponed, and the risks they've been too afraid to take. It's easier to dismiss your achievements than to confront their own stagnation. If they can convince themselves that your success isn't that impressive, they don't have to question why they haven't achieved more themselves. This mindset isn't always malicious. It's often a subconscious defense mechanism designed to protect their self-image. Admitting that you've grown means admitting that growth was possible all along, and that they chose comfort over progress. This realization is uncomfortable, so they look for ways to minimize your achievements. They tell themselves you had better opportunities, more luck, or an easier path, anything to avoid the truth. You put in the work they weren't willing to. The more you succeed, the harder it becomes for them to maintain this illusion. Each milestone you reach chips away at the excuses they've built up over the years. Your glow-up proves that change is possible, and that's a difficult truth to accept when they've spent so long convincing themselves otherwise. So they cling to their narrative, downplaying your success as a way to shield themselves from the weight of their own inaction. This internal struggle often plays out through passive-aggressive comments or backhanded compliments. They might say things like, "Must be nice to have things work out so easily," or "Not everyone has time to focus on that." These words reveal their internal conflict. Part of them admires your success, while the other part resents the mirror it holds up to their life. But deep down, no amount of downplaying can erase the truth. They see the distance between their potential and their reality, and your success is a constant reminder of what could have been if they'd only taken the first step. Number 6, your transformation threatens their sense of identity. People who once defined themselves by being above or ahead of you now have to rewrite their self-perception. The struggle to reconcile that shift keeps them awake at night. Your transformation didn't just change how others see you, it changed how they see themselves. People naturally compare their progress to those around them. If someone once felt more successful, confident, or in control than you, your glow-up disrupts that balance. Suddenly, the identity they built around being ahead of you is gone, leaving them struggling to redefine their sense of self. This shift doesn't just bruise their ego, it shakes the foundation of who they believed they were. When you level up, it forces others to reevaluate their position in life. If they once measured their success by being ahead of you, your growth feels like a threat. They're no longer the one with the upper hand, and that change is hard to accept. Their pride is tangled up in the idea that they were somehow better or further along, and watching you surpass them challenges that belief. It's not just about feeling left behind, it's about losing the identity they built around being ahead. This internal conflict creates a sense of discomfort they can't escape. Late at night, when distractions fade, their mind replays the moments when they felt superior, the times they offered advice, dismissed your ambitions, or assumed you'd never reach their level. Now, those memories clash with the reality of your success, creating a gap between who they thought they were and who they are now, and the wider that gap, the harder it is to reconcile. Some people respond by minimizing your growth or focusing on your past mistakes. It's their way of holding on to the version of you that made them feel secure. Others withdraw completely, distancing themselves rather than confronting the shift in dynamics. But no matter how they react, one thing remains the same. Your transformation forces them to question their identity. And until they find a new way to define themselves, one that doesn't rely on being ahead of you, that struggle will continue to echo in the quiet moments when they're alone with their thoughts. Number 7, they're not watching for curiosity, they're watching for comparison. Every late-night scroll through your social media is a silent competition they can't admit they're participating in. Each post is both inspiration and torment. When they scroll through your social media, it's not just to see what you're up to, it's to measure where they stand in comparison. Every achievement, every photo, every milestone you share becomes part of an invisible scoreboard they can't stop checking. They're not scrolling for curiosity, they're scrolling to see if they're still winning. But the more they see, the harder it becomes to convince themselves they're ahead. Social media makes comparison easy and unavoidable. A quick glance at your latest post shows them the life you're living, the vacations, the promotions, the confidence in your smile. Each image is a snapshot of progress, a reminder of what you've achieved while they feel stuck in place. And because people naturally compare their behind-the-scenes struggles to others' highlight reels, your success feels even more unreachable. They see your glow-up as proof that they've fallen behind, and every post feels like another point scored against them in a competition they never wanted to admit they were playing. This comparison isn't just about material success, it's about self-worth. Seeing you thrive forces them to confront their insecurities, making them question their own choices and capabilities. They might scroll through your feed searching for signs that your success isn't as perfect as it seems, proof that you're still flawed, still struggling, but when they don't find it, the weight of comparison grows heavier. Ironically, the more they compare, the worse they feel, but they can't stop watching. Curiosity keeps pulling them back, as if each scroll will reveal a reason to feel better about their own life. But instead, they find more evidence of your growth, feeding the cycle of comparison that keeps them awake at night. They tell themselves it's just harmless scrolling, but deep down, they know the truth. Every time they check your profile, they're not just looking at your life. They're measuring their own. And until they break free from this cycle, your success will continue to be both their inspiration and their torment. Number 8, your glow-up is a plot twist they didn't anticipate. They wrote you off in their mental story of life, only to discover you're now the protagonist of a narrative they can't control. Their insomnia is fueled by trying to rewrite the script. They had you pegged as a side character in their story, the one who'd never quite rise beyond their expectations. Your glow-up wasn't just unexpected, it rewrote the entire narrative. Suddenly, you became the protagonist of a plot they never saw coming. Now they're stuck replaying scenes where they misjudged you, trying to rationalize how they missed the signs of your potential. But the truth is, they never anticipated that you'd step into your power and take control of your own story. Every milestone you achieve is a plot twist they can't predict. They scroll through your successes, trying to piece together how you've transformed into someone they can't ignore. And while they may act indifferent, their sleepless nights tell a different story. It's not just envy, it's the unsettling realization that the story they wrote in their minds no longer aligns with reality. You've proven that you're not bound by their expectations, and that freedom disrupts the control they once believed they had. In their minds, they're rewriting the script, searching for a version where they're still ahead. But no matter how they frame it, they can't erase the fact that your success is now a permanent part of the narrative. And the most unsettling part, you're not waiting for their applause. You're writing your own story, on your own terms. And that's the plot twist they never saw coming. Number 9, they pretend not to care, because your success challenges their belief systems. Watching you rise dismantles their excuses, proving that limitations are often self-imposed. The discomfort is less about you and more about what you represent. Your success is more than just an achievement. It's a direct challenge to the beliefs that have kept others stagnant. For years, they told themselves that certain dreams were unattainable, that the obstacles were too great, or that success was reserved for others. But your glow-up dismantles those excuses, showing that limitations are often self-imposed. Seeing you thrive forces them to confront the uncomfortable truth. It's not external circumstances holding them back. It's their own fear, doubt, and hesitation. Each milestone you reach serves as a reminder that growth is possible, but it requires stepping outside the comfort zone they've clung to for so long. That realization is unsettling because it strips away the safety net of excuses. So they downplay your success, pretending not to care. It's easier to dismiss your achievements than to acknowledge what they represent, but beneath the indifference lies a mix of admiration and frustration. The admiration for what you've accomplished and the frustration of knowing they could have done the same if they'd only believed in themselves. Late at night, when their thoughts are loud, they grapple with the gap between where they are and where they could be. Your success isn't just a reminder of what's possible, it's a mirror reflecting the choices they've avoided. And that reflection is hard to ignore, especially when it highlights the difference between living with excuses and living with purpose. Number 10. Your happiness is the loudest sound in their silent nights. The thought of you thriving, laughing, and living your best life replays in their mind like a song they can't turn off, especially when they assumed you'd need them to be happy. Your happiness isn't just noticeable, it's loud, vibrant, and impossible to ignore. They expected your glow-up to come with strings attached, namely their approval or involvement. But instead you found joy on your own terms, and that realization is louder than any words you could say. It's a sound they can't escape, especially in the stillness of the night, when their thoughts are unfiltered. They scroll through your photos and hear the echoes of your laughter, replaying moments when they underestimated your ability to thrive without them. Each smile, each success, is a reminder that you've moved forward while they remain tethered to the past. It's not that they wish you unhappiness, it's that your joy highlights their own unfulfilled desires. At 3 a.m., when distractions fade, their minds replay the moments they doubted you, questioning whether they misjudged your strength. They realize that your happiness isn't performative, it's genuine, and that authenticity makes it even harder to ignore. Your laughter isn't just a sound, it's proof that their absence didn't break you. In fact, it may have been the catalyst that pushed you to discover your own strength. The song of your happiness plays on repeat in their minds because it represents the freedom they haven't yet found. And while they may never admit it, the thought of you thriving without their validation is a melody they can't turn off, no matter how many times they try to change the tune. Number 11. They regret underestimating you, but pride won't let them admit it. The weight of realizing they misjudged your potential is heavy. But confessing it would mean confronting their own blind spots. Regret is a heavy burden, especially when it comes with the realization that you underestimated someone who proved you wrong. They once placed limits on your potential, assuming you'd never rise beyond the version of you they knew. But your glow-up shattered those assumptions, leaving them to grapple with the weight of their misjudgment. Every success you achieve serves as a reminder of what they failed to see. The resilience, talent, and determination that were always within you. Yet admitting that they were wrong means confronting their own blind spots, the biases and doubts that led them to underestimate you in the first place. And that's a truth they're not ready to face. So they stay silent, pretending your success doesn't affect them. But beneath the surface, regret lingers. They replay moments when they could have supported you but chose doubt instead. The thought of what they missed out on, whether it's a deeper connection, shared success, or simply being part of your journey, weighs heavily on their mind. Pride becomes their defense mechanism. Acknowledging your growth would mean admitting their own shortcomings, the moments they failed to recognize your potential, the words they wish they could take back, and the assumptions that no longer hold true. Instead of facing those truths, they choose to maintain the facade of indifference, hoping to mask the regret that keeps them awake at night. But deep down, they know the truth. Underestimating you was their mistake, not your limitation. And no amount of pride can erase the knowledge that they misjudged someone who rose beyond their expectations. In the quiet hours of the night when there's no one to impress and no image to maintain, that realization echoes the loudest, reminding them of the strength they once failed to see. Number 12, your glow-up rewrites the power dynamics. Where they once had the upper hand, through doubt, dismissal, or control, they now face the unsettling reality that the roles have reversed and you hold the power of indifference. Your transformation didn't just change how you see yourself, it altered the dynamics of your relationships. There was a time when their opinions, judgments, or dismissive remarks held weight, shaping how you viewed your potential. They thrived on the subtle control that came from your need for validation, but your glow-up disrupted that power structure. Now their words no longer define you, and their approval no longer holds value. The shift is undeniable. You've stepped into a position of strength while they're left grappling with the loss of influence. The most unsettling part for them is your indifference. You no longer seek their validation, nor are you affected by their opinions. And that's where the true power lies, not in revenge, not in proving them wrong, but in the fact that you've moved on without needing their recognition. This reversal challenges their sense of control, leaving them questioning their significance in your life. Late at night, they replay moments when their opinions mattered, only to confront the reality that their influence has faded into insignificance. But it's not just about personal relationships. The ripple effect extends to anyone who doubted your potential. Each success you achieve stands as a testament to your resilience, reminding them that they underestimated someone who refused to be defined by limitations. The power dynamics have shifted, and they now find themselves watching from the sidelines, unable to control or diminish your shine. Number 13, they lose sleep because your success questions their choices. It's not envy, it's the haunting thought of, what if I had chosen differently? Your journey is a living example of what's possible beyond fear, hesitation, and comfort zones. Your success isn't just admired, it's analyzed. Every milestone you reach forces others to reflect on the choices they've made, especially the ones rooted in fear or hesitation. It's not about wanting what you have. It's the realization that they too could have pursued their dreams if only they had chosen differently. This internal dialogue plays out during sleepless nights, as they replay moments when doubt held them back. Seeing you thrive serves as a constant reminder that growth is possible beyond the confines of comfort zones. Your achievements aren't just proof of hard work, they're evidence that fear, procrastination, and self-doubt are the real barriers to success. And that's where the discomfort lies, not in your success itself, but in what it represents. Each milestone you hit becomes a mirror reflecting the choices they didn't make, the risks they didn't take, and the opportunities they let slip away. In those late-night moments of introspection, the question of what if echoes the loudest. What if I had believed in myself? What if I had taken that leap of faith? Your journey shows that success isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's available to anyone willing to step beyond their fears. And while they may celebrate your achievements publicly, privately, they wrestle with the realization that their biggest obstacle was never external, it was the limitations they placed on themselves. Number 14, your growth is proof that their absence was never your limitation. The realization that you became your best self without their validation is a truth they can't escape, even at 3 a.m. when the world is silent and their thoughts are loud. They thought their absence would leave you stranded, believing their presence was essential for your growth. Yet your transformation has become undeniable proof that their validation was never the key to your success. You rose from setbacks and found strength within yourself, shattering the assumptions they clung to. Each milestone you achieve serves as a reminder that their departure wasn't the end, it was the beginning of your evolution. Late at night, when distractions fade, this realization echoes the loudest. They replay moments when they underestimated your resilience, convinced that without their approval you would falter. But instead of falling apart, you flourished, building a life that reflects your determination and self-belief. This truth is difficult to reconcile because it challenges the narrative they constructed, that their presence was pivotal to your success. Instead, your growth reveals that their absence cleared the space you needed to thrive. What stings the most is that your journey proves they held no power over your destiny. Their absence didn't limit you, it liberated you. Without their influence, you discovered your own voice, learned to trust your instincts, and redefined your worth. This self-sufficiency is what keeps them awake, grappling with the fact that their role in your story was never as vital as they believed. Your glow-up is a testament to resilience. Every goal you've reached and every smile you wear is a reminder that you never needed their validation to succeed. And as they scroll through glimpses of your thriving life, they're left with an unshakable truth. Their absence wasn't your downfall, it was your catalyst. While they lie awake wondering how you became so unstoppable, you rest easy, knowing you owe your success to no one but yourself. Your glow-up is more than a transformation. It's a testament to your resilience, growth, and unwavering belief in yourself. Each success you achieve is a reminder that you are no longer defined by others' expectations or limited by their doubts. The sleepless nights they endure are not about resentment toward you, it's about the reflection your journey holds up to their own lives. You've become living proof that change is possible, that growth is inevitable, and that happiness is attainable without anyone's permission. And while they may wrestle with their pride, regrets, and unspoken comparisons, you owe them nothing, not validation, not explanation, and certainly not permission to shine. In the end, your glow-up is yours alone. It's the story of rising beyond limitations, rewriting narratives, and proving that the greatest plot twist of all is becoming the version of yourself that they never saw coming. If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content that inspires, motivates, and challenges the way you see yourself and the world. Hit the like button to show your support, drop a comment below to share your thoughts, and spread the message by sharing this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your engagement helps keep this community thriving, so let's keep growing together. Welcome, the anointed ones. Never wrestle with pigs. You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it. There's something terrifyingly beautiful about silence. It doesn't argue, it doesn't explain, it just watches as the storm destroys itself. And if you've ever chosen peace over pettiness, you know exactly how powerful that silence can be. Here's a fact. The average person spends nearly 2 years of their life arguing. That's 730 days wasted on proving points that won't matter in 5 minutes. But what if I told you the real winners aren't the ones with the best comebacks, but the ones who never step into the ring at all? You didn't lose the argument, you simply refused to entertain the circus. And while they were busy performing, God was settling the score behind the scenes. So buckle up, because this isn't your typical silence speaks louder than words lecture. This is about why your silence was deadlier than their drama. How choosing peace isn't just wisdom, it's warfare. And why the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's elevation. Number 1. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy. People mistake silence for weakness, but in reality, it's one of the most strategic moves you can make. The loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest. Most times, they're just the most desperate for control. The moment you stop reacting, you strip them of their power. Drama thrives on attention. It needs your energy, your words, and your frustration to survive. When you refuse to engage, you don't just take yourself out of the chaos. You force the other person to sit alone with the storm they created. And that's the worst thing you can do to someone who feeds on conflict. They aren't looking for resolution. They're looking for a reaction. Silence is a strategy because it shifts control. When you stop defending yourself, when you stop explaining, when you stop showing up to the argument, you become unpredictable. And nothing frustrates a manipulator more than not knowing your next move. They will push harder, talk louder, and create even bigger scenes just to get a rise out of you. But the moment they realize you aren't moved, that's when the game falls apart. There's a reason people say silence is golden. It's not just about peace, it's about power. It forces people to reveal their true intentions. It makes them argue with themselves. It makes them question why they even started in the first place. And while they're busy trying to get your attention, you're moving forward, untouched, unbothered, and still in control. Weak people react, strong people strategize, and the strongest move you can make is refusing to play a game designed to drain you. When you choose silence over drama, you don't just win the battle, you end the war before it even begins. Number 2. Drama is a trap. Silence is the escape. Drama is a trap, and the moment you take the bait, you're stuck in a cycle that never ends. It pulls you in with accusations, mind games, and emotional triggers, making you feel like you have no choice but to respond. But here's the truth. Engaging in drama is like arguing with a fool. Even if you win, you still lose, because the real goal was never about truth. It was about control. Silence, on the other hand, is your escape. It's the fastest way out of the chaos, because it removes your energy from the equation. Drama cannot survive without participation. The moment you stop defending yourself, stop explaining, stop proving, you starve the problem of the attention it needs to grow. And when you starve something, it dies. People who create drama don't want peace. They thrive on stirring conflict because it makes them feel powerful. They twist words, play the victim, and manipulate emotions just to keep you engaged. But silence is the one thing they can't manipulate. It gives them nothing to twist, nothing to fight against, nothing to work with, and that's when they start unraveling. Walking away isn't weakness, it's intelligence. It's the decision to protect your peace instead of wasting your energy on people who have already made up their minds about you. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every argument is worth having. Sometimes the smartest move isn't proving a point. It's refusing to step into the mess at all. When you choose silence, you don't just escape the trap. You destroy it entirely. And in the end, the person who walks away with their peace intact is always the one who truly wins. Number 3. God is your defender, not your audience. God is your defender, not your audience. The problem with drama is that it tricks you into thinking you have to fight for yourself, prove your innocence, and explain your side to people who have already decided what they want to believe. But when you live for people's approval, you will always be at their mercy. Their opinions will dictate your peace. Their accusations will drain your energy, and their manipulation will keep you trapped in cycles that were never meant for you. Silence is the proof that you trust God more than you trust people. When you stop arguing, stop explaining, and stop chasing validation, you make a bold statement. I don't need to fight this battle. God already settled it. The moment you hand it over to Him, you remove yourself from the courtroom of public opinion and place your case in the hands of the only judge who truly matters. People want you to react because they want control. They want to pull you into their chaos, twist your words, and paint you as the villain. But the beauty of letting God handle it is that He doesn't just clear your name. He exposes the truth in ways you never could. Your silence speaks louder than their accusations. Your peace irritates their chaos, and in the end, their own actions will testify against them. Not every fight is yours to fight. Some battles are meant for God alone. And when you choose to let Him handle it, you don't just walk away with your dignity intact. You walk away knowing that the truth always comes to light, and justice is always served, no matter how long it takes. Number 4. They need an opponent. You refuse to play. Drama isn't about right or wrong. It's not about truth, fairness, or even real problems. It's about control. The people who create it don't care about resolution. They care about winning. They need an opponent, someone to argue with, someone to react, someone to fuel the fire. But the moment you refuse to play, their entire war falls apart. This is why certain people push your buttons, twist your words, and create conflict where there is none. They aren't looking for peace. They're looking for control over your emotions, your energy, and your time. When you respond, they win, because now they have you exactly where they want you, defensive, frustrated, and emotionally invested. And that's the goal, to keep you engaged in a fight that never had a real purpose in the first place. But here's where it gets interesting. When you walk away, when you refuse to react, when you let them argue with themselves, something shifts. They no longer have someone to manipulate. Their accusations go unanswered. Their attempts to provoke you fail. And because drama cannot exist without participation, the battle they tried so hard to create starts collapsing under its own weight. It's like a game of chess where one player suddenly stands up and leaves. The other person is left sitting there, still trying to play, but now looking foolish because the game is over, and they're the only one who didn't realize it. That's what happens when you refuse to engage. People who crave drama hate silence because it forces them to deal with themselves. And when they can't pull you into their mess, they have no choice but to sit in it alone. That's when the real battle begins, and it has nothing to do with you. Number 5. Energy is currency. Stop spending on what doesn't profit you. Energy is currency, and the way you spend it determines the quality of your life. Every reaction, every argument, every time you engage in pointless drama, you're making a transaction. But the real question is, what are you getting in return? Drama drains you without a single benefit. It steals your peace, wastes your time, and leaves you emotionally exhausted, all while adding nothing of value to your life. It's like constantly swiping your card on things that don't grow you, don't serve you, and don't align with where you're headed. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Think of all the things that actually matter, your peace, your purpose, your growth. If something doesn't build those, why invest in it? Would you willingly throw your money into a fire just to prove a point? No. So why do it with your energy? Reacting to every little thing, defending yourself to people who don't want to understand, and feeding into negativity is just another way of going broke spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. There's power in choosing where your energy goes. When you refuse to waste it on what doesn't profit you, you have more to invest in what does, your goals, your peace, your healing, your future. That's how you build wealth in life. Some people will try to provoke you just to see if they can get a reaction. But the best response is knowing their chaos isn't worth the price. Protect your energy like you would protect your bank account, because once you realize your peace is your greatest currency, you'll stop giving it away for free. Number 6. Silence exposes their true colors. Silence is the ultimate spotlight. It forces the truth to reveal itself. When you stop engaging in drama, something powerful happens. The person who thrives on it has no choice but to expose themselves. People who stir conflict rely on one thing: your participation. They need someone to argue with, someone to blame, someone to twist the story against. But when you remove yourself, when you stop explaining, stop defending, and stop responding, they don't get the reaction they were expecting. And that's when their true nature comes out. Watch what happens when you go silent. If the other person was really interested in peace, the conflict would end. They would move on, just like you did. But if their goal was never resolution, if they were only in it for control, they'll panic. They'll talk louder, spread more lies, and create even bigger scenes, desperately trying to pull you back in. And that right there is your proof. Because people who are innocent don't need to work overtime to convince the world of their innocence. But guilty people, they expose themselves by the way they react to your silence. Your absence forces the truth to stand alone. It removes distractions, removes excuses, and makes it painfully obvious who the real problem was all along. The person who won't let go, who keeps the drama alive, who continues to attack even when no one is fighting back. That's the person who was creating the chaos all along. Some truths don't need to be spoken. They just need time to reveal themselves. And when you refuse to play their game, you don't just win, you let the truth do all the talking for you. Number 7. The most unbothered person in the room is the most powerful. Power isn't about who yells the loudest, who throws the best insults, or who wins the argument. Real power belongs to the person who stays unbothered, the one who refuses to react, the one who doesn't let their emotions get hijacked by someone else's chaos. People who thrive on drama want control. They want to provoke you, get inside your head, and manipulate your emotions. They push buttons, twist words, and create conflict just to see how much influence they have over you. Because the moment you react, you're playing their game, and now they have control. But when you don't react, when you stay calm, when you refuse to give them what they want, everything shifts. Suddenly, they're the one scrambling, frustrated, and off balance because their usual tricks don't work on you. They lose control, not you. And that's where real power is, not in the noise but in the restraint. Think about the most influential people in any room. They aren't the ones throwing tantrums or demanding attention. They're the ones who move with quiet confidence, who don't explain themselves to everyone, who choose their battles wisely. That's because control isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. The one who stays unshaken, that's the one who holds all the power. And once you realize that being unbothered is the ultimate advantage, you stop letting people with no real influence dictate your peace. You don't just win the battle, you rise above it completely. Number 8. Some battles are beneath you. Not every war is worth fighting. Number 9. Drama is a mirror, not a window. Drama isn't about you, it never was. It's a mirror, not a window. What people throw at you is more about what's happening inside them than anything you've actually done. Their attacks, their gossip, their accusations. They're often just projections of their own insecurities, fears, and unresolved issues. People who are at war with themselves look for enemies everywhere. They twist words, create problems, and stir conflict because it distracts them from dealing with their own inner chaos. If they feel small, they'll try to make you feel smaller. If they're insecure, they'll try to make you question yourself. If they don't have peace, they'll do everything they can to disturb yours. But none of it is actually about you. It's a reflection of the storm they're carrying inside. The mistake most people make is believing that other people's opinions define them. But the way someone treats you says far more about them than it does about you. A bitter person will always find something to be offended by. A jealous person will always find a way to tear you down. A person filled with anger will always find a reason to start a fight. But that's their burden to carry, not yours. When you recognize that drama is just a mirror, you stop taking things so personally. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds. You stop reacting to attacks that have nothing to do with your character and everything to do with their own wounds. Instead, you let them wrestle with their own reflection while you keep moving forward. You can't fix someone else's brokenness by breaking yourself in the process. Their chaos is theirs to deal with. Let them throw their stones, let them scream, let them twist the truth, because at the end of the day, their reflection will always expose them. Number 10. Peace is the loudest victory. Peace is the loudest victory because it's the one thing your enemies never expect. They want chaos. They want you to react, to defend yourself, to be just as consumed by the drama as they are. When you don't, when you remain calm, unshaken, and unbothered, it doesn't just frustrate them, it destroys them. Nothing rattles a person who thrives on conflict more than realizing they have no control over you. They throw their insults, spread their lies, and try to drag you into their storm. But when you don't engage, all they're left with is their own noise. And that noise gets louder in their own head, because without your reaction to fuel them, they're left to battle themselves. Peace is power. It's a statement that you refuse to be controlled by negativity. It shows that their words don't define you, their actions don't move you, and their attempts to break you have failed. That's why it infuriates them. They expect you to crumble, to fight back, to prove yourself. But when you simply continue living, continue thriving, and continue walking in your purpose, it's the biggest slap in the face you could ever give them. Victory isn't always loud. It isn't always about proving a point or making a scene. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is smile, stay silent, and keep winning in life while they drown in the mess they created. Because nothing makes an enemy more miserable than realizing they had no effect on you. At the end of the day, the person who holds on to their peace is always the one who truly wins. Because peace isn't just the absence of conflict, it's the proof that no one had enough power to take you out of character. And that is the loudest victory of all. Number 9. Your silence forces them to fight themselves. Drama needs fuel to survive, and when you walk away, you take that fuel with you. The people who thrive on conflict don't stop creating it just because you remove yourself. Instead, they're left fighting the only opponent that was ever truly responsible for their chaos, themselves. When you refuse to engage, you force them to sit with their own dysfunction. They can no longer twist your words, provoke a reaction, or manipulate you into a battle that serves their ego. And that's when the real war begins, the war within themselves. Without you as a distraction, they are left face to face with their own insecurities, their own anger, their own patterns of toxicity. Many people use conflict as an escape. They don't want to confront their own demons, so they project them onto others. But when you deny them that outlet, their negativity has nowhere to go but back to them. Their accusations echo in their own minds. Their bitterness eats away at them. Their need for control turns inward, and they are left dealing with the very things they were running from. This is why silence is more powerful than any argument. It's not just about refusing to fight. It's about forcing them to deal with the one person they can't manipulate, themselves. Some people will lash out even louder, hoping to bait you back in. Others will spiral, realizing that without someone to blame, they have to finally face the truth. Either way, their downfall no longer involves you. The greatest revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's letting them destroy themselves with the very energy they tried to use against you. When you walk away, their drama doesn't disappear. It just turns inward, where it always belonged. Number 12. God is a better judge than you. When you step back and let God handle a situation, you are choosing a justice that is far greater, far wiser, and far more final than anything you could ever accomplish on your own. It's human nature to want to defend yourself, to correct the lies, to fight back against those who wrong you. But the truth is, your version of justice will always be limited. You see the surface. God sees the root. You want fairness. God brings closure. You seek revenge. God delivers lessons that cut deeper than any argument ever could. The problem with trying to fight your own battles is that you become consumed by them. You replay conversations in your head. You waste energy proving yourself to people who don't want to understand, and you trade your peace for a war that was never yours to fight. But when you step aside and let God handle it, you shift from being reactionary to being untouchable. You no longer move based on emotions. You move based on trust. God's justice is precise. It isn't about loud displays or immediate payback. It's about perfect timing, undeniable truth, and consequences that can't be escaped. Sometimes, that justice is seen openly. Other times, it happens behind the scenes in ways you'll never know. But one thing is certain, no one gets away with anything. The people who betrayed you, slandered you, or tried to break you will have to face the weight of their own actions. And when God is the judge, their downfall is something you don't have to orchestrate. It unfolds naturally, and in ways far more fitting than anything you could arrange. So let them lie. Let them play their games. Let them think they've won. Because when God settles the score, it's not just fair, it's final. Number 13. A response isn't a requirement, it's a choice. Not every fight deserves your presence. Not every insult deserves a response. And just because someone is desperate to pull you into their chaos doesn't mean you have to show up. A response isn't a requirement, it's a choice. And the moment you realize that, you gain a level of power that most people will never understand. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is impulsive, emotional, and often plays right into the other person's hands. Responding, on the other hand, is intentional. It's knowing when to speak and when silence is the most effective weapon. Some people will bait you with lies, provoke you with drama, and push every button just to get a rise out of you. But if you refuse to engage, they're left fighting a battle alone, and nothing frustrates a troublemaker more than being ignored. Maturity isn't about proving yourself in every argument. It's about knowing which ones even deserve your energy. Some people don't want resolution. They want control. They don't want to understand you. They want to rattle you. And the second you engage, you give them exactly what they were looking for. But when you stay silent, you take away their power. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. It means you've elevated past the need to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. It means you understand that peace isn't something you beg for, it's something you protect. Let them call for war. Let them throw their tantrums. Let them create the chaos they so desperately crave. But remember, you are not required to show up to every battle you're invited to. The strongest move you can make is sometimes the one they never see coming, walking away without a word. Number 14. You didn't lose, you chose to win differently. Walking away isn't losing. It's redefining victory on your own terms. People who thrive on drama want a fight. They expect screaming matches, long-winded explanations, and endless back and forths that keep you locked in their cycle of chaos. But when you remove yourself, when you choose peace over conflict, you don't lose, you simply win differently. The problem is, many people confuse silence with weakness. They think if you don't defend yourself, you must have something to hide. If you don't argue back, you must not have a strong position. But in reality, silence is often the loudest statement you can make. It tells them, you are not worth my energy. You do not control my emotions. You are not important enough to disrupt my peace. And that stings far more than any comeback ever could. They wanted a battle, but instead, they got the worst thing possible, the sound of their own insignificance. Without your participation, their drama loses momentum. Their words lose weight. Their entire scheme falls apart because the game only works if both sides agree to play. And you? You chose to rewrite the rules. True victory isn't about proving yourself to small-minded people. It isn't about making sure the last word is yours. It's about protecting your peace, guarding your energy, and refusing to be dragged into battles that don't serve your purpose. Walking away doesn't mean you gave up. It means you saw the bigger picture. It means you understood that some wars aren't won with words, but with silence. Some victories don't come from defeating your enemy, but from rendering them completely irrelevant. So let them think they won. Let them celebrate a victory that never actually happened. Because in the end, the person who walks away is the person who truly won. Victory isn't always loud. Power isn't always in the response, and walking away isn't losing. It's choosing to win on a level they'll never reach. Drama is a trap designed to keep you engaged, to drain your energy, and to make you believe that your worth is tied to someone else's chaos. But the truth is, the moment you refuse to play their game, they lose control. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. Peace isn't surrender, it's a power move. And ignoring the noise isn't avoidance, it's elevation. You didn't walk away because you were afraid of the fight. You walked away because you saw it for what it was, pointless, petty, and beneath you. Some people want a reaction more than they want resolution. They crave conflict more than they crave truth. And when you deny them access to your emotions, you force them to deal with the emptiness they were trying to escape in the first place. God's justice is always greater than anything you could orchestrate. The real consequences aren't found in heated arguments or public takedowns, but in the slow, undeniable reality that truth always reveals itself. Let them exhaust themselves in their own noise while you move forward in silence, because nothing is more frustrating to a troublemaker than a target who refuses to be moved. At the end of the day, the most powerful person in any room isn't the loudest. It's the one who remains unshaken. The one who chooses peace over pettiness, wisdom over war, and purpose over pointless battles. So let them talk. Let them twist the story. Let them drown in their own drama. Because while they stay stuck in the same cycle, you'll be too busy thriving to even notice. And that is the loudest victory of all. If this message resonated with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Spread the wisdom. Make sure to like, comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more powerful content that keeps you focused, unbothered, and winning in life. Stay elevated, stay at peace, and remember, your silence is sometimes the loudest statement you'll ever make. See you in the next one. Welcome, the anointed ones. The greatest threat to a lie is the person bold enough to expose it. Here's a fact. It takes 7 times more energy to maintain a lie than to tell the truth. No wonder they're sweating. Their carefully crafted illusions are held together by duct tape and denial. And you? You're the storm they hoped would never come. See, when you step into your power, you become more than just a problem. You become a reckoning. Their false narratives start to crack. Their masks slip. And suddenly the empire they built on half-truths and manipulation starts to shake. Funny thing is, they thought you wouldn't notice. They thought you'd stay silent. Spoiler alert, you didn't. And now? Well, let's just say their House of Cards moment is coming faster than they'd like. So why are they scrambling? Simple. Your growth threatens their grip. Your success challenges their story. And the truth you carry? It's the one thing they can't afford to face. But here's the best part. They can't stop what's coming. Because once a lie starts to crumble, no amount of excuses, gossip, or damage control can hold it together. And that sound you hear? That's the sound of their carefully constructed world falling apart, brick by brick. So, sit tight. This is going to get interesting. Number 1. They built their kingdom on sand, and your truth is the tide. Lies are easy to build, but impossible to hold forever. At first, they seem solid, convincing even, but the thing about lies is they need constant upkeep. Every false word leads to another. Every cover-up needs another layer, and eventually, the whole thing becomes a house of cards, standing tall, but one breeze away from collapse. That's where you come in. You're not the wind, you're the tide, slow, steady, and impossible to stop. And once the tide comes in, no amount of scrambling can hold the sand in place. See, people who lie depend on control. They need others to believe their version of reality because without that belief, their influence disappears. They get used to bending the truth, twisting facts, and manipulating situations until it suits them. But truth has a weight to it. It doesn't shout or demand, it simply exists. And when someone rooted in truth steps into the picture, the cracks start to show. Suddenly, their carefully crafted narrative doesn't hold up as well as it used to. Their excuses sound weaker, their stories have holes, and the people around them start asking questions they never asked before. The best part, you don't have to do anything except stand firm in your truth. Lies only thrive in the dark, and your presence alone is enough to shine a light where they hoped no one would look. That's why they feel threatened. It's not because you've exposed them. It's because you could, and they know it, so they scramble. They double down on their lies, throw blame in every direction, and try to make you seem like the problem. But deep down they know it's only a matter of time. Because once the truth starts rising, there's no stopping it. And no matter how much they fight to hold their world together, they're up against something they can't control: reality. Number 2. Power feeds on fear. Starve it. Fear is the strongest weapon anyone can use against you. It's how they keep you in line, hold you back, and make you question yourself. They don't need to lock you in a cage if they can convince you that stepping outside it is dangerous. The moment you stop believing that lie, everything changes. The power they once had disappears. Not because they lost their strength, but because you stopped giving them yours. People who control through fear rely on one thing: your belief that you can't make it without their approval. They use doubt like a leash, pulling you back whenever you get too close to breaking free. They plant seeds of insecurity, hoping you'll water them yourself. The trick is, they never expect you to wake up and see the truth, that the limits they placed on you were never real. So when you do, it shocks them. Suddenly their words don't hit the same. Their threats don't scare you, their judgment doesn't hold weight. And just like that, their grip slips. That's why your confidence is dangerous. When you refuse to shrink yourself to fit their expectations, you break the system they built to control you. They can't handle someone who knows their worth, because it leaves them with no leverage. They'll try harder at first, criticize you louder, predict your failure, remind you of every mistake. But here's the secret: their desperation is proof that you're winning. If you weren't a threat, they wouldn't need to fight so hard to tear you down. And once you stop feeding their fear with your doubt, they're left powerless. Without your belief in their authority, all they have are empty words. They can shout all they want, but it doesn't change the fact that you're free, and freedom once tasted is something you never give up again. That's why they're scared. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you're about to do, without them holding you back. Number 3. Your authenticity exposes their illusions. When you walk into a room fully yourself, unapologetically real, it's like you've hit a reset button for everyone who's been hiding behind a mask. People who have spent their lives building a version of themselves that the world can accept suddenly feel exposed, because your authenticity forces them to see the difference between what they pretend to be and what they actually are. The truth you carry shines a light on their false fronts and cracks the illusion they've worked so hard to maintain. And that's terrifying. See, for those who wear masks, the goal isn't just to fool others, it's to fool themselves too. They've convinced themselves that the person they've created is who they need to be to succeed, to be liked, to survive. But underneath all that, they're terrified of being seen for who they truly are. And when someone like you shows up, unfiltered and real, it forces them to confront the gap between their facade and their authentic self. It's like they've been pretending to be actors in a play, and you've just walked in as the audience, watching them stumble and fumble, ruining their carefully rehearsed script. Your presence makes their deception harder to maintain, because authenticity is a force of nature. It doesn't need to explain itself or make excuses, it simply is. And when someone stands firmly in their truth, everyone else feels the pressure to do the same, or at least face the fact that they're not. This is where the cracks start to form. They may try to double down, criticize you, or convince themselves that your realness is somehow wrong. But the deeper truth is, they're not angry at you. They're angry at themselves for allowing the illusion to go on for so long. And in the end, no matter how many layers they put on, nothing can hide the fact that the mask is just a mask. Eventually, the weight of maintaining it will be too much, and that's when their illusion will crumble. The moment you stop pretending to be anything other than yourself, you expose the falseness around you. And once that's out in the open, there's no going back. Number 4. They mock what they secretly admire. When people mock you, it's rarely about you at all. It's about what you represent. Ridicule is nothing more than a defense mechanism for those who can't stand to see you embodying the very qualities they wish they had. It's the easiest way to deflect attention from their insecurities and place the blame on you, because if they can convince themselves that you're wrong or less than, they don't have to confront the uncomfortable truth. You're doing what they secretly wish they could. The truth is, their mockery isn't a sign of strength, it's a sign of weakness. If they didn't feel threatened by your success, your authenticity, or your boldness, they wouldn't waste any energy trying to tear you down. But the fact that they do is a clear indicator that you're hitting a nerve. They see something in you that they either envy or fear, something they want for themselves but feel too powerless to attain. Instead of acknowledging your power and learning from it, they try to diminish it because admitting that you're living the life they only dream of would shatter the illusion they've built around their own limitations. Ridicule is the ultimate smoke and mirrors act. It's meant to confuse others into thinking you're not worthy of respect, to get them to believe that your success is either luck, arrogance, or undeserved. It's their way of redirecting attention away from the fact that you're breaking free from the same constraints that they remain trapped in. If you weren't a threat, they wouldn't bother to discredit you. They'd ignore you, dismiss you, or at worst, wish you well from a distance. But the fact that they feel the need to actively undermine you shows how deeply your actions are unsettling them. So next time they try to mock you, remember, it's not about you. It's about their inability to handle the reflection you cast. And the more they mock, the clearer it becomes. You're not just a threat. You're the living proof of everything they're too afraid to become. Number 5. Your growth is a mirror. They fear looking into. Their lies were never about you. They were about hiding from themselves. When you start growing, evolving, and breaking free from the limits they tried to place on you, it forces them to confront the one thing they've been running from, the truth about who they are. Suddenly, they're standing face to face with their own fears, insecurities, and shortcomings. And that's a mirror most people can't bear to look into. Your growth isn't just a personal victory, it's a silent challenge. It says, if I can break free, what's stopping you? That's the part that shakes them. See, as long as you stayed small, they could stay comfortable. They could justify their choices, excuses, and limitations by pointing to you and saying, see, no one gets ahead, it's not possible. But the moment you start moving forward, whether it's leveling up in your career, improving your mindset, or simply refusing to settle, it strips away their excuses. Now they're left with two options: step up and change, or stay where they are and admit it's by choice. And let's be honest, most people would rather cling to a lie than face that kind of truth. That's why your progress triggers resistance. It's not because they hate you, it's because they hate what you represent. You've become proof that the limits they believed in were never real. And that realization? It's uncomfortable. It forces them to question everything, their decisions, their beliefs, their entire identity. So they push back. They criticize, gossip, or try to tear you down, not to stop you, but to stop themselves from feeling exposed. But here's the part they can't escape. Growth is contagious. The more you rise, the harder it becomes for others to ignore their own potential. And no matter how much they resist, deep down, they know the truth. It's not you they're afraid of. It's the reflection of what they could be if they stopped believing their own lies. Number 6. Silence was their weapon. Now your voice is their undoing. For so long, your silence was their greatest tool. They counted on it, fed off it, and used it as a way to keep you in check. When you didn't speak up, when you didn't challenge the lies they spread or the control they tried to impose, it was like you handed them the power to shape your story. Your silence allowed them to define you on their terms, manipulate the narrative, and keep you small, because as long as you remained quiet, they could pretend they were the authority. But when you found your voice, it was like the ground beneath them started to shift. The moment you stop letting them tell your story and start telling it yourself, everything changes. Their narrative, which was so carefully constructed and maintained in the shadows of your silence, begins to unravel. Their lies have no foundation to stand on when you speak the truth. They can't control the narrative anymore. The walls they've built to keep you confined to their version of reality come crashing down. Suddenly, it's not just their words that are out in the open, it's yours, and they have no way to drown them out. They thrived in your quiet compliance because it gave them the illusion of power. But your voice is a threat to that illusion. It's the tool that exposes their manipulation, the weapon that destroys their carefully curated image. When you speak, when you stand up for what's right and refuse to let their lies go unchallenged, you reclaim control. The power dynamics shift. They no longer hold the upper hand. You do. Your voice cuts through their deceit like a knife through fog, leaving them exposed and scrambling to piece together a story that no longer fits the truth. And here's the real kicker. The more you speak, the less they can hide. Every word you speak is a crack in their armor, and with every truth you share, their narrative falls apart a little more. They can't silence you anymore. The very thing they once relied on, your silence, has become the force that undoes everything they've worked so hard to create. Number 7. They're fighting to protect the lie, not to defeat you. When people fight against you, it's rarely personal. It's not about you, your actions, or your success. It's about the world they've constructed, a fragile and shaky reality that can only exist if everyone plays along. The moment you come into the picture, standing in your truth and challenging the narrative, you become the very thing they can't afford. A reminder that the house of cards they've built is crumbling. Your existence alone threatens everything they've used to define themselves and their position in the world. They're not fighting you, they're fighting to keep their lies intact. They're fighting to protect the illusion they've created, because if it falls apart, so does the identity they've wrapped themselves in. This false version of reality has been their armor, their shield against the discomfort of facing their own limitations, mistakes, and fears. You, by simply being unapologetically yourself, are the mirror they can't bear to look into. You're making them confront the fact that their fabricated world is unsustainable. It's no longer a choice between defeating you or winning. They're fighting to preserve their own facade. This resistance you're facing isn't about personal vendettas or petty conflicts. It's a survival instinct. Their sense of self is built on a series of lies that, without constant reinforcement, would disintegrate. The more you expose those cracks, the more they're forced to defend their false narrative. But what they don't realize is that by doubling down and fighting harder, they only speed up their own collapse. The more they try to protect the lie, the more obvious it becomes. The truth is, you're not even the real threat. You're just the spark. The real threat is the truth you represent, the thing they can't silence, no matter how much they try. You're the thing that makes them question everything they've ever believed about themselves, and that's why they'll fight tooth and nail to keep their world from falling apart. Because if they lose the lie, they lose everything, and they can't afford that. Number 8. When you stop seeking their approval, you take away their leverage. As long as you're seeking their approval, you're giving them control. It doesn't matter how subtle it is. The need for validation is a leash that keeps you tethered to their judgment, their expectations, their rules. It's an invisible chain that holds you back, allowing them to dictate how you feel, how you act, and even what you believe about yourself. Every time you look to them for affirmation, you reinforce their power over you, unknowingly putting yourself in a position of dependency. They get to decide whether you succeed or fail, feel good or bad, worthy or unworthy. But the moment you stop seeking their approval, you snap that leash. And when that happens, they suddenly realize they have no hold on you anymore. The real power lies in being able to walk your own path without needing anyone else's permission to do so. When you stop caring about their opinion, you stop letting them influence your decisions and emotions. Their judgments no longer have the weight they once did. And here's the kicker. The moment you stop seeking their validation, you become the one who holds the power. You've taken away their leverage, and now they have no way to manipulate you, control you, or make you doubt yourself. What's left is your unshakable sense of self, something no one can take away. They'll fight to get it back, of course. They'll try to gaslight you, question your choices, and make you feel insecure. But now, without that leash around your neck, you won't be moved. Their attempts to manipulate you fall flat because they no longer hold the key to your confidence. The more they try to pull you back into their game of approval, the clearer it becomes. You're not interested. You're free, and that freedom is the ultimate threat. The power they once had over you, built on your need for their approval, evaporates the moment you let go of it. And once it's gone, they can't get it back. Number 9. You're not here to destroy. You're here to illuminate. You're not here to destroy anyone, and you never were. The truth is, your presence isn't the cause of their downfall. It's the light you bring into the darkness they've been hiding in. The moment you stepped into your power, when you started living your truth unapologetically, you became a source of illumination. And that light? It's what's exposing the cracks in their foundation. The downfall they're experiencing isn't because of you. It's because they've been operating in the shadows for so long that the light is now too much for them to handle. What they don't understand is that they've been living in a world built on lies, manipulation, and half-truths. They've crafted their existence around a narrative that only works when no one is looking too closely. But the moment you flipped the switch, when you stopped playing by their rules and started shining a light on what's real, everything they've built starts to unravel. You didn't have to go out of your way to destroy anything. You didn't have to fight. You simply showed up in your truth. And that alone made their lies impossible to sustain. They've been so used to the darkness, so comfortable hiding behind smoke and mirrors, that the truth now feels like an attack. But you're not attacking them. You're simply existing in a way that reveals the flaws in their world. Their inability to survive in the light of truth is what's causing their collapse, not your actions. You're just the one who brought the truth into the room. It's a painful process for them because the lies they've told themselves for so long are starting to fall apart. They can no longer hide behind the veil of deception, and that's where they panic. They thought they could control everything in the darkness, but the moment you turned the light on, the illusions started to disintegrate. You didn't cause their downfall. You simply gave them the exposure they were always going to face eventually. Number 10. Your success redefines what's possible. And that's dangerous. Your success isn't just about you, it's about what it represents. When you break free from the limitations, expectations, or fears that others cling to, you shatter the idea that those walls were ever real. You become living proof that what's considered impossible isn't, in fact, impossible at all. You redefine what's possible in a way that no one can ignore. And for those who've been playing by the rules of their own limitations, that's dangerous. Because if you can do it, why can't they? The moment you step into your power, you force them to confront a terrifying question. What's holding me back? This is why your success makes people uncomfortable. You're not just a personal achievement. You're a disruption to their narrative. People love to play it safe, cling to what they know, and justify their fears with the "it's too hard" or "it's not meant for me" stories they've been telling themselves. And when they see someone like you defy all those odds, it's a challenge to everything they've convinced themselves is true about their own limits. If you can break free, then maybe they can too. And the truth is, that possibility is far scarier than any failure you might face. But here's the thing. You're not just a threat, you're a catalyst. Your success doesn't just open doors for you. It forces others to ask themselves the tough questions they've been avoiding. They can't unsee the possibility of their own potential. Your rise becomes a mirror to their complacency, and that's what makes them squirm. It's not that they hate you or want to bring you down, it's that your success exposes their own insecurities and missed opportunities. The more you achieve, the more others feel the weight of their own untapped potential pressing on them. And that's why they try to discredit you, slow you down, or even tear you down. Because if you can rise, it's a constant reminder that they've been holding themselves back. But what they don't realize is you're not the reason they feel uncomfortable. You're the reason they have the chance to break free. Number 11. They use doubt as a weapon, but you've outgrown it. For a long time, doubt was the tool they used to control you. It's subtle, insidious. One small seed of uncertainty planted in your mind, and before you know it, you're questioning everything about yourself, your worth, your abilities, your choices. And once they've managed to plant that seed, it grows, feeding off your insecurities, making you second-guess every decision. They knew this. They counted on it. Doubt was their doorway into your mind, the key that unlocked your vulnerabilities and allowed them to manipulate your thoughts, decisions, and actions. They thrived when you doubted yourself, because in that uncertainty, they held power. But here's where things shift. You've outgrown it. You've learned to recognize the voice of doubt for what it really is, an echo of someone else's insecurities, not your truth. Once you stopped listening to it, once you stopped letting it control you, you closed the door that had allowed them entry. The more you stepped into your power, the more you realized that doubt wasn't just a part of you. It was something that was being projected onto you. It was never yours to begin with. Now that you've shut it down, they're left standing outside, powerless to manipulate you the way they once did. Without that seed of doubt, they have no leverage. They can't make you question your decisions, your worth, or your path anymore. All their tactics to shake your confidence fall flat because the self-doubt they used to weaponize has no place in your life now. They tried to plant fear in you, to create a narrative where you felt small, incapable, or unsure. But once you realized that doubt was just a tool they used to control, you stopped feeding it. And now, it has nowhere to take root. They thought they could weaken you with their doubts, but in reality, you've become stronger because of them. You've learned to trust your instincts, to believe in your potential, and to recognize that their opinions were just noise. The more they try to use doubt as a weapon, the more they realize it doesn't work anymore. You've closed the door, and now they have nothing left to hold against you. Number 12. The collapse is already happening. You're just the final push. Lies are like brittle structures carefully built on shaky ground. At first they stand tall, convincing enough to hold up under scrutiny, but beneath the surface they're fragile, unstable, and incapable of withstanding the weight of the truth. These falsehoods can only hold their ground for so long before the pressure cracks them open. And that pressure? It's not just time or circumstances, it's you. Your presence is the force that accelerates their inevitable collapse, the tipping point that brings their carefully constructed world to the ground. For a long time, the people who've relied on lies to maintain control have been operating under the illusion that their fabricated stories can go on forever. They've convinced themselves that they can keep things together with enough manipulation, distraction, and gaslighting. But you, by simply existing, are the undeniable pressure that exposes the cracks in their foundation. When you walk in, standing strong in your truth, the lies they've told start to feel thinner, weaker, and more transparent. And that's when the instability begins. What they don't realize is that the lies were never sustainable. They're just waiting for the right catalyst to speed up their downfall, and you're that catalyst. You don't need to force anything to happen. You don't need to yell, argue, or push for the truth to come out. Simply by being present, simply by being authentic, you expose the instability that was already there. You reveal how fragile their narrative truly is, and you make it harder for them to keep pretending. In a way, they know it too. The more you stand firm, the more they feel the weight of their own lies pushing down on them. Every time they try to cover up, distract, or shift blame, they only make the truth more obvious. Their empire built on deception was never going to last. And you, by just showing up as yourself, are the final push that sends it crumbling. The collapse was always inevitable. You're just the reminder that time has run out for them. At number 13, their attacks reveal their weakness, not yours. When people attack you, it's easy to think it's about you, but it's not. Their attacks, their insults, their criticisms, all of it is projection. They're not revealing anything about you. They're revealing everything about themselves. Every time they try to tear you down, it's a confession, an unspoken admission that they don't feel secure in their own position. If they didn't feel threatened by you, they wouldn't feel the need to lash out. But their need to target you is a glaring sign that they see something in you that they wish they had: confidence, authenticity, strength, and they can't stand it. Projection is their way of deflecting their own insecurities and frustrations onto you. They feel inadequate, so they try to make you feel small. They struggle with their own self-worth, so they try to diminish yours. But what they don't understand is that their attacks only expose their own weaknesses. If they were truly secure in themselves, they wouldn't need to waste energy trying to bring others down. The fact that they do only shows how deeply unsettled they are by your existence. It's almost like they're afraid that your strength is a mirror, reflecting back to them everything they've tried to ignore about their own limitations. They fear your success because it forces them to confront their own failures. They lash out because they can't bear to acknowledge that they've been standing still while you've been moving forward. Every time they try to cut you down, they show the world just how insecure and fragile they really are. So the next time someone attacks you, remember, their words are a reflection of their fears, not your reality. The more they try to tear you down, the more they expose their own lack of self-belief. Their attacks aren't a measure of your worth. They're a clear sign of just how much they wish they could be more like you. Number 14, they fear your independence because it makes them irrelevant. Independence is the ultimate power move, and for those who have thrived on controlling or influencing you, it's nothing short of terrifying. The moment you stop needing their permission, their influence loses its grip. You stop being part of the system they've designed, the one that depends on you being in a constant state of dependency, approval-seeking, or validation. When you step away from that, you step into your own power. And for those who have built their identities on your reliance, that's a direct threat to their relevance. They've spent years manipulating situations, controlling narratives, and inserting themselves into your decisions under the guise of offering guidance or support. Your reliance on them, even if it was subconscious, made them feel important, like they held the keys to your success or happiness. But once you stop needing their permission, they no longer have that control. They're no longer the gatekeepers of your life. You don't need their approval to make choices, pursue your dreams, or define your path. And that shift, it makes them irrelevant. They can't stand that. Because here's the hard truth for them. If you don't need them, they have no power. If you don't need their validation, their advice, or their approval to move forward, they become just another voice in the crowd. No longer central, no longer important, no longer holding any real sway in your life. And that's a scary place for people who have relied on being in the spotlight, on being the ones you turn to for guidance. Their identity, their sense of purpose, is suddenly in question. The role they played in your life becomes obsolete, and they'll do anything they can to try and pull you back into that dependence. But once you've tasted the freedom of independence, once you've realized that you don't need anyone's permission to live your life the way you want, there's no going back. Their attempts to regain control won't work, because your independence exposes their need to control, and that's the most dangerous thing they can't handle. You no longer see them as a necessity. You've taken away their power, and now they're the ones who have to face the emptiness of their own irrelevance. In the end, your presence alone is enough to shake the very foundation of the lies and illusions they've built. You are not a force of destruction. You're a force of revelation, illuminating the truth that they've been desperate to keep hidden. Each move you make, each step you take in your authentic power, chips away at the false narratives that have been propped up by fear, manipulation, and control. And the more you live in your truth, the more they realize that the world they've crafted is unstable, built on shifting sand. Their need for validation, their control, their manipulation, it all crumbles when you stop feeding into it. You're not here to tear them down. You're here to make them face what they've been avoiding. And in that process, you free yourself. The collapse wasn't caused by you, it was inevitable. The truth always finds a way to break through. When you stop playing by their rules, stop looking for their approval. You create a space where their lies can no longer survive. Your success, your independence, your unwavering commitment to who you are, this is the ultimate weapon, and it's one they can't counter. They feared you because you represented the freedom they could never grasp, the reality they couldn't bear to face. But the more they try to push against you, the clearer it becomes. You are the one who holds the power. You are the catalyst, the spark, the force that accelerates the truth's arrival. So stand tall in your authenticity, in your unapologetic existence. You're not here to please them or conform to their narrative. You're here to show them what's possible when you break free from the chains of doubt, validation, and manipulation. The world they've tried to control can no longer withstand the light you bring. And in that light, they'll either evolve or collapse. Either way, it's no longer your battle. It's simply the inevitable result of truth meeting illusion. And truth, my friend, always wins. If what you've just read resonates with you, if you've felt that spark of truth lighting up in your own life, then don't let this moment fade. Join the movement, the revolution of authenticity and self-liberation. Hit that subscribe button and become part of a community that thrives on breaking free from the chains that others try to put around us. Don't forget to like if this message hit home and leave a comment. I want to hear your thoughts, your stories, and how you're shining your own light in a world that's desperate to keep it dim. And if this message sparked something in you, something that others need to hear, share it. Share it with those who need to know that their truth is their power. The more of us who stand in the light, the more of us who push back against the illusions, the stronger we become. So let's keep this energy flowing. Subscribe, like, comment, share. And let's keep building a world where truth, authenticity, and freedom aren't just ideals, but realities we live every day.